No, thank you. Sleepy. Come back in an hour.
Need sleepy.
Please go away. Let me sleep for the love of God!
It's now time for the Billy C. Morning Show, part of the Billy C. Boxing Network. Interact with the show at BillyCBoxing.com.
Good morning, America. We're coming to you live from the Billy C. Studios in Lake George, New York. I'm Bill Calogero, and it's time for the Billy C. Morning Show. Good morning, everyone. Glad to have you with us this morning, and of course, we're glad to be with you. Today's show is being brought to us in part by Sal's Neighborhood Pizzeria and Italian Restaurant, located in St. Simons Island, Georgia. Check out the website, www.salsneighborhoodpizzeria.com. Or give my man a call, 912-268-2328, 912-268-2328. And don't forget, if you're heading south for the winter, if you're a snowbird, if you will, don't forget, it's literally a 15-minute out-of-your-way ride, which includes stopping at a couple of lights off of I-95 to taste the delicious Italian cuisine that Sal has at his famous restaurant. So check out the website, www.salsneighborhoodpizzeria.com, and get the address. If you need any more information, feel free to drop me an email, billy@talkinboxing, TALKINBOXING.com. Today's show is also being brought to us in part by the Title Bout Championship computer game. If you're looking to get a simulation game like no other, this game has been collecting data since the 70s. Get yourself a copy. You can order it right through our website. Visit our website, BillyCBoxing.com, and click on the Title Bout Championship computer game banner, which is located on the left-hand side. And today's show is being brought to us in part by my book, Tom Molyneux from Bondage, The Baddest Man on the Planet, is available right now where all good books are sold, and you can literally get a copy of it right now by visiting barnesandnoble.com or amazon.com. Find out why we have a 5-star rating across the board. And if you're looking to get a signed copy, visit our website, billycboxing.com, and go into the book club section. I also want to point everyone to strictlybusinessboxing.com. My man Coach did a great book review for me. He was actually up at the Queensberry Hotel this past weekend, and gave you guys a little piece of what the book's about. So check out the write-up and some photos up on strictlybusinessboxing.com. Before we get started, I just want to congratulate Donald Trump for pulling the upset over Hillary Clinton. He is now our United States president. He should be taking office whenever it is in January, so he's the president-elect. I will just comment on one thing. He seemed like a leader in his victory speech, unlike the campaign mode. So time will tell. So we'll get into that a little bit later. Today, my topics: Floyd Mayweather. You know, a couple of weeks ago, I was taking the side of this hot teacher that was being criticized for some of the outfits she wore to her class, her elementary class. And my point was that it wasn't that she was wearing anything revealing or anything else. It just showed how gorgeous she was and how nice her body was. And you never heard anything again until the other day. It turns out that Floyd Mayweather... Now keep in mind, I was thinking how hot this chick was, but only a guy like Floyd Mayweather can actually reach out and meet this woman. And according to multiple reports, Floyd paid her several $1 million to teach him how to read. And then somebody taught somebody, because turns out she's knocked up. I'll get into that a little bit later. Andy Ruiz and Joseph Parker is officially set. Will take place in New Zealand. Bob Arum making some crazy man statements. Also, I got an update on Mayweather-Pacquiao 2. We have our blast from the past coming up a little bit later. Two-ton Tony Galento, former world heavyweight title challenger. He's on tap. And also on tap, we have Boxing Hall of Famer and New Jersey Boxing Commissioner Larry Hazzard scheduled to join us. But joining us right now from beautiful St. Simon's Island, Georgia, getting ready to hand out cannolis today in celebration of Donald Trump's win. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, you must welcome the man, the myth, the legend himself, the New Jersey Boxing Hall of Famer, the Guinness Book of World Record holder, and soon-to-be movie star. Soon-to-be movie star. Add that to his credentials. My man, my friend, my brother from another mother, Sal Rocky Senecola. Good morning, Sal.
Good morning, Billy C. How are you, my friend?
Not too bad. And, hey, you called it. Donald Trump won it. It was an upset of sorts. No one was really giving him a chance.
No.
And
yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just saying they were piling out of the Javits Center faster than cockroaches leave when you turn on the light, you know. But anyway, he won, and
Yes.
now we'll see what happens with that. Any quick thoughts?
Well, he did win. It was a historical win, and it showed so much from the smart voting public as far as what they were so tired of with the political machines that were the powers out there. And to have him vaulted to the top of the highest office in all the land is very exciting, number one. But number two, even in his acceptance speech last night, he started to sound a little more presidential. And he's got a big responsibility because he's got to unite this country, and he's got to get some work done, and he's got to put his actions where his mouth was. And so now comes the hard work. In about 90 days, he's going to have his inauguration, and he'll be choosing wisely his cabinet and his staff, just like he did with Mike Pence as his VP, which was a brilliant choice. And you look at all the powers that may be that unified and brought this together for him to make it possible. And if you look at a country map today, that country looks like it's a red state all over the place. So, the people spoke, and I think now it's up to him to deliver the opportunities and the possibilities to make America great again.
Hopefully, yeah, you should have coined that phrase. But let's get to some top topics right now while we got you on the line. And I do have a bunch of emails I want to read from the viewers and listeners, and I do want to give a shout out to everyone watching on Fight TV and their handhelds, Fight.tv, FITE.tv. If you haven't gotten your handheld app for Fight TV and to watch our show and some other great stuff, visit our website, BillyCBoxing.com, and click on the Fight TV app. I also want to give a special shout out to our listeners on ESPN New Hampshire. Glad we could be with you guys. And first and foremost, I want to talk about Floyd Mayweather. Floyd, remember a few weeks ago, we were talking about this teacher they were putting all over the internet in Atlanta, actually in your home state. She's a gorgeous, gorgeous woman. There's no question about it. And she was being criticized because she was posting photos of herself. She was an elementary school teacher. Was posting photos of herself, in her attire that she wore to school. And there were a lot of conservatives out there that were flipping out. The thing was that it wasn't like she was wearing anything revealing or anything like that. She was just wearing types of clothes that, showed off her gorgeous body. And I remember, I don't know if you recall, Sal, but I came on the show defending her. I was saying, give me a break.
Yes.
Yeah, give me a break. You can't criticize a woman for being, very attractive. I just felt that everyone was wrong. Well, although I thought she was hot, I don't have the power to reach out and actually meet this woman. I'm sure a lot of people would love to have met her. But one guy, Floyd Mayweather, has the wherewithal and the money to reach out and meet her. And he had the perfect little segue to get in there, so to speak, which we'll get to a little bit later. He pays her $3 million, according to her, to teach him how to read, because everybody knows that Floyd, he can't read.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, no, he can't read.
Really?
And while he was there learning how to read, they taught each other a couple of other things, because it was announced the other day that she's 3 months pregnant now with Floyd's baby.
Really?
She said
Serious?
he paid me how to teach him to read. He paid me to teach him how to read. Now I'm going to teach him how to be a dad. What's your
Are you
thoughts?
kidding me?
No, what's your thoughts, man?
Are you serious?
Of course I'm serious. Would I lie to you, Sal?
No, you wouldn't lie to me. No, Billy C. Wow.
I mean, only Floyd could pull that off. And listen. You know what? On one hand, I'm glad Floyd, wanted to better himself by learning how to read.
Yes.
And I admire him for being able to even get to this woman. But it sounds to me like he was letting his little head do the thinking for his big head. And I just wonder which head reads better, his little head or his big head, because somebody's going to be paying alimony for at least 18 years. What do you think?
Alimony had child support, definitely. And we didn't get to the.
Yeah, you're right. Hey, miss.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what? Totally, I was wrong. I misspoke when I said alimony. He's already paying that probably to somebody else. I don't even. You know what? I don't know if he was ever married. You're right. It's child support. Child support. All right. Good. Hey, that's what I keep you around, man. Keeping me on track. So she says she's not getting rid of the baby. She's keeping him, and now she knows she doesn't have to work again. And somebody said somebody should have, when he learned how to read, he should have read up on how to use a condom. But anyway, speaking of Mayweather, check this out. Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao, which I said was going to have a rematch, back when they fought. Do you know that Las Vegas has already posted odds on the fight that hasn't been announced?
Are you kidding me?
Floyd Mayweather.
Again, I said that. You won't kid
me. Are you kidding me? No, I'm not kidding you. Would I kid you? Listen, Sal, Floyd, right now you can go to Vegas and put a bet on Floyd Mayweather to win the rematch with Manny Pacquiao. Lay $350 to win 100. He's minus 350. And Manny Pacquiao right now is plus 275. So you put $100 on Manny, you win 275. If I recall, I don't recall what the odds were the first time around. But can you imagine that even Vegas has the odds?
Yeah.
And if they fight like I said they will in May, Floyd's going to be 40 and Manny Pacquiao 38. To me, that's the only fight for these two guys.
The only fight.
And no one else should even be mentioned. What do you think?
Bill, this is it. This is the whole reason why Pacquiao came back in the ring after he announced his retirement. This is the only fight that makes sense. This is the fight. This will be the big fight, the fight that it should have been the first time. So there wasn't going to be a second one, but this is the big one. This will put everything, the passing of the baton. They should go off in the sunset after this fight, but it will be a big win for Mayweather, a world record holding win, or it'll be revenge and it'll be fulfillment for Manny Pacquiao and his fans and people. So you know what? It's gonna have to happen, and it's gonna have to be a special night for one very special fighter.
Yeah, no doubt, and get your tickets now, everybody, and plan on coming down to Sal's because we'll definitely be doing
Absolutely.
something.
Hey, I wonder with those odds, if I bet $200 on each fighter, I'll cover my bet and I'll win.
You cover your bet, not if Floyd wins. Well,
if it wins, I win.
Yeah,
if I bet $200 on Floyd, I bet $200 on Pacquiao. The spread, I should cover all my angles. No, yeah,
well, maybe.
I'm thinking about it. You know, I'm a gamble.
Yeah, I heard how you always win. How you always win in roulette. Thank God, Kayla. Oh yeah, and I'll never forget Kayla when we were in Chicago. She comes in. Oh yeah, he won. Oh really? Oh yeah, he won. Whatever, $80. Oh man. And then well, how much did it take? How much did it take you to win $80? About 900. But anyway,
I've got a progressive betting system with the roulette wheel.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? You better
wait.
listen. Roulette is not exactly. Roulette is not exactly a systematic game, brother.
No, but the wheel has no memory. I realize that because I love it. I could show you. I think I did show you. I told you about some of my progressive betting systems, and the modification of what you could do to stretch out your rolls and things like that. But yeah, Kayla was the queen of the penny slots, the penny and the nickel. She won more money using pennies and nickels in that Indiana casino, the Horseshoe. It was a great night. Great night. We had a good time.
Let me tell you something. A lot of people would say, "Oh, I only played penny slots," but a lot of times you can lose $20 in one pull with those penny slots. But hey, listen, let's take a short little break here. When we come back, I got an update on Andy Ruiz and Joseph Parker. We got some scores to get you caught up on, and I got a bunch of emails I want to get out of the way. All of that is coming up in about 2.
The Billy C. Morning Show will be right back.
Hey, fight fans, check out KOFantasyBoxing.com. KO Fantasy Boxing is boxing's only trademarked fantasy game. Check it out, www.KOFantasyBoxing.com. Select your own gym, your own fighters, track them through a season that can last from 3 months to a year, depending upon which league you join. You got to check this out, man, www.KOFantasyBoxing.com. Join it today. Again, www.KOFantasyBoxing.com. And tell them Billy C sent ya.
Check out BillyCBoxing.com now, or feel the wrath of the mighty mustache.
Oh, that hurts. Why are you doing that to my face? I hate you.
That's BillyCBoxing.com. Consider this your warning. Now, back to the Billy C Morning Show. Interact with the show at BillyCBoxing.com.
And we're back. You're listening to the Billy C Morning Show right here on ESPN New Hampshire and Fight TV and all of our other affiliates. Glad to be with you this morning, and being with me this morning is my man Sal Rocky Senecola. And Sal, before we went to break, I said I wanted to give an update on Andy Ruiz. Well, the fight between Joseph Parker has been set. It's taking place December 10th in New Zealand. As you recall, this is for the newly vacated WBO World Heavyweight title. Some crazy. Wait till you hear this quote, okay? Because are you sitting down?
Oh, I'm sitting down.
All
Definitely.
right.
Got a coffee in my hand.
All right.
Sitting down. I'm
right.
panning through the internet with the boxing. Yeah, go ahead.
Here you go. Andy Ruiz, his promoter, is a guy named Bob Arum from Top Rank.
I know.
And after they gave the initial, the official announcement that the fight will indeed be held in New Zealand on December 10th, Bob Arum, being a man of, a lot of words, says, "I give my man," he's referring to Andy Ruiz, "a hell of a shot, particularly now because he's being trained by Abel Sanchez." And for everyone out there, you know that Abel Sanchez is the trainer of Triple G. He says, "Abel will get Ruiz in shape. We'll get him a game plan. The game plan will utilize the tremendous hand speed that Andy Ruiz has. I haven't seen a heavyweight with that kind of hand speed since Muhammad Ali."
Wow.
Boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, Bob Arum has officially lost his effing mind, okay? Andy Ruiz, first of all, has no business in this fight. Get him in shape. The fight's a month away. In his last fight, he was in the best condition of his life. He's 6'2". He weighed 252 pounds in his last fight. That was on September 10th. And they expect Abel Sanchez to get him in the best shape of his career. He's weighed over 270 pounds a few times. He started his pro career at 290. So I'll give him some credit for losing almost 40 pounds. But what makes great fighters is the discipline for them to stay in shape. So when a fight comes up, they can work on a game plan for that time, not focus on weight loss. A la Floyd Mayweather Jr. You guys know I'm not a big fan of Floyd, but I've always given him credit for maintaining. Even to this day, he hasn't fought in several months, almost a year, and he's still in fighting shape. And then as we look at Andy Ruiz to begin with, Sal, his record is 29-0, okay? Mm-hmm. There's two guys on his record that I would even give any credit for winning. His last fight, Franklin Yaya Lawrence, I'll give him some credit for beating Lawrence, because Lawrence was ranked in the top 20 in the heavyweight division with a 21-2-2 record, despite him never really fighting or beating anyone. I should say he did fight a couple of tough fights, but he lost. And the only other guy on his resume that you can give any credit to is Ray Austin. Remember him? He's what, 100 years old now? He fought him in May.
Maybe.
I mean, come on, man. This guy has no business fighting for a title.
No, I definitely see your point here, and true. And as far as losing weight, is Sanchez able, or is Abel Sanchez doing it, or is Sanchez able? I don't know.
If Sanchez is able,
he's able.
Maybe he should start.
Is Ruiz able?
If Abel Sanchez can get Andy Ruiz to win this fight, maybe he should start wearing sandals and grow a beard, because it's going to be pretty much of a miracle. When you look at Joseph Parker, he too is undefeated, 21-0 with 18 knockouts, but he's got significant wins over heavyweights like Brian Minto, Bowie Tutupu, Cali Meehan, Carlos Takam, which is a big win. And in his last fight, I give him credit for beating Alexander Dimitrenko. So Joseph Parker clearly has fought the better opposition there. One quick thing I want to mention, Terrence Crawford against John Molina Jr. has been made official. It will take place. There will be an official press conference that will take place tomorrow. The fight is taking place in Nebraska. Will be on HBO and will take place on the same day as the Parker fight, and that's December 10th. Real quickly, let me get everybody caught up on some other sports scores. First and foremost, Donald Trump beats Clinton 276 to 218. That's the electoral votes, in case anybody's counting. Some congratulations to Donald Trump. Over in the NBA, the Hawks beat the Cavaliers 110-106. Dennis Schroeder led the way for Atlanta, 28 points, 2 rebounds, and 6 assists. The Nets finally won a game. They beat the Timberwolves 119-110. Brook Lopez, 26 points, 3 rebounds, and an assist. The Grizzlies topped the Nuggets by a point, 108-107. Vince Carter is another guy that's got to be close to 100 years old. He led the way for the Grizzlies, 20 points, 3 rebounds, and 5 assists. Trailblazers topped the Suns, 124-121. C.J. McCollum, 33 points, 6 rebounds, and 7 assists. The Mavericks beat the Lakers, 109-97. Harrison Barnes, 31 points, 2 rebounds, and a couple of assists. And DeMarcus Cousins led the way for the Kings. They topped the Pelicans 102-94. Cousins had 28 points, 4 rebounds, and 4 assists. Over in the NHL, Sal, the Devils beat the Hurricanes 3-2 in a shootout. The Canucks topped the Rangers 5-3. Red Wings over the Flyers 3-2 in a shootout. Penguins 4, Oilers 3, Sharks 3, Capitals zip. Kings 7, Maple Leafs nothing. That's a football score. Canadiens 3, Bruins 2, Predators 3, Senators 1. Jets. There's a team called the Jets. They beat the Stars 8-2. Usually any team called the Jets sucks, but the Jets beat the Stars 8-2. Coyotes 4, Avalanche 2. That gets us caught up on some sports. How about some emails, Sal?
Let's read them, Bill.
All right. Well, here's the first one from my man Jesse. He says, "Hey, Billy, we're going to see the best fighters in the small divisions fight each other, like Garcia, Porter, Thurman, Spence Jr., Bradley, Manny, Brook, Floyd, Crawford. And probably moving up, Mikey Garcia. Will we see those guys ever fight one another to determine who really is the best of all?" My answer to that, Jesse, with a saddened heart, is no. N-O spells no. These guys just won't do that anymore because of the sport has changed. We're all about safety first, low risk, maximum reward. No one cares about proving who the best fighter really is. I don't think they'll ever happen. What about you, Rocky?
Oh, I don't know. I don't think so either. You know, I've been looking at it from the outside, but I don't think it happened.
No. I mean, you might get one. I mean, Thurman and Porter fought each other. Maybe Spence will fight one of them. He wants them, but I don't know. And I know Bradley is willing to fight. I don't think so. Sorry, Jess.
That's just it. Some of these guys are really willing to fight each other, but, by the time they bring it to the table with the management, the promoter, this one, that one, they slice up these deals. We talk about it all the time.
Well,
they disqualify themselves.
Well, what really sucks is when you got a guy like Daniel Jacobs come out and say, "I want to fight Triple G," and then he gets an offer $2 million or 1.9. He says, "Nah, that's not enough money." I mean, yeah, it's easy to call somebody out, but you got to be realistic with the purse. He says, "Hey, Billy C, do you see the top college teams fighting for the 1 and 2 spots? Seems to be a lot of good teams that should fight for those spots so far." Jesse says, "I like Louisville and Washington. What a joke that Alabama still plays Chattanooga." Hey, listen, I'm an Alabama fan, all right? So all college teams play some less than stellar opposition during their season. Alabama is no different. Just because they're number one and seem to be the best team in college football doesn't mean all of a sudden they don't get those kinds of games. All schools should be evenly matched, not just the top teams. As far as 1 and 2 to me, it has to be the same two of last year, Clemson and Alabama. And then don't forget, I like Louisville and Washington's undefeated, but don't forget about Michigan. The Wolverines are undefeated too, and Louisville's not. So I think it's going to be the top 4, no particular order: Alabama, Clemson, Michigan, and I think Washington will get in there. But we'll see what happens. There's still some games left. He says, Billy, they said the Cubs and Indians Game 7 was the best one, but I saw the Braves and India in 91. What's your thoughts? Listen, for the significance, I think the Cubs and Indians in Game 7 was pretty good. That's what I think. He's asking you again. I mean, how many times does Sal have to answer this question, Jesse? He wants to know, Sal, are you going to go to the new Brave Stadium? I mean, come on. How many times have we asked you?
I hope to get an invitation. I would love to go to the new Brave Stadium. I still want to get up to see the new Yankee Stadium. I haven't seen the Yankee game, and I'd like to bring my kids, especially maybe if they play down here. Maybe if there's an interleague, I'll go see them play at the Braves. Well, that'd be great. I don't know, but we'll see. We'll see. Yes, I do want to see the Braves Stadium next season in baseball, and that's yes, I'll do that.
Yeah, well, that's what you said all the other times that you were asked. But anyway, this is from Chris. Yeah, you were. One time Brave Stadium, one time Falcon Stadium, This one's from Chris from Canada. He says, Conor McGregor has an announcement to make after UFC 205 on Saturday. The rumors of Conor McGregor versus Floyd Mayweather is back in the news. What's your thoughts? My thoughts? It'll never happen. Anybody that thinks that Floyd Mayweather will fight Conor McGregor, forget about it, right,
Especially
Sal?
with Pacquiao and the money on the line.
Listen, Floyd is all about low risk, max reward. There's no reason for. First of all, Conor McGregor won't be able to beat Floyd in a boxing match. End of story. But Floyd's going for history with his 50th win and everything else. He's not going to try to get that with a fight against a guy who's never fought as a pro boxer. It ain't happening. Forget about it. Maybe a couple of years from now, but forget about it. He said, I got another one. This one's from my man Bobby from Annapolis. He says, hey, Billy C, I hope all is well. I wanted to say great job to you and your team on the Manny Pacquiao post-fight show. I got to listen to it on Monday because I was attending a fight card in Southern Maryland Saturday night. I wanted to ask you if you've heard any news regarding the fighter that put Pritchard Colon in a coma, Terrell Williams. Currently has no fight scheduled, and he hasn't fought in over a year. I wonder if he's ever going to fight again. We know what can happen in these situations with the victorious fighter. For example, Nigel Benn was never the same fighter again after his duel to the death with Gerald McClellan. You never know. Look at Boom Boom Mancini, Sal. He was never the same after the Dooku Kim fight. I think it takes a toll on a fighter when his opponent doesn't take another breath after the fight. You know the risk going into the ring, but it's got to affect the fighter to know what the ramifications of his opponent passing away, the loss of him, not only to the sports world, but to his family and his kids and relatives. I mean, it's got to be hard.
No, it's got to be devastating. And fortunately, I never had to worry about that. And God bless. It's tough. You got to live with it the rest of your life, and so does the family of the deceased. And it's repercussions for years to come.
Never.
It's hard to get over.
It probably never heals, and I know it never healed for Boom Boom Mancini. But one last email another one from Canada, from my man Brett. He says, "Hey, Billy C and Sal, here's a thought. If no one wants to fight Demetrius Andrade at 154, and he's the best in the division, and he wants to challenge himself, he should jump to 160 and fight Triple G. Andrade is in the same situation as Brook, who had trouble getting fights. It makes sense, and the fight would sell for sure." I don't know why people are always so quick to force a fighter or suggest a fighter jump up in weight. Triple G needs to fight, a main player in the middleweight division. Demetrius Andrade, we think that he's the best 154-pounder, but there are plenty of fights for him at 154. It goes back to what we just said, Sal. These fighters aren't willing to fight the best fights. I don't know. I think it's an unfortunate situation Demetrius is in.
Yeah, I agree. And, it's relative to, look at Triple G. He's up there in 160-pound weight, and the pickings are getting few and thin. And not anybody wants to fight. No one wants to fight him.
That's right.
And so these people are coming up. These people are stimulating other interests in different divisions. But, hey, it's a shame because there should be enough competition in each weight class that there could be one standalone champion who's defeated all the top right contenders.
Brett also says, "Congratulations to Donald Trump on winning the presidential election. I'm excited for the future of your country and how the American people as a whole want change. God bless America and Donald Trump." Keep up the good work.
Brett.
I tell you,
that's very nice.
That's good. The only people that aren't happy right now is probably the Clinton family. They're probably not too happy right now.
Man, I'll tell you, Billy, I stayed up till 4 a.m. watching all the puns and everything else, and all the mud in the eye that was being slung to the people that called us. And like I said, you and I discussed this off air, on air. It was the silent majority that once they went behind that curtain, they looked at what was their option, and they said, "Do I want change, or we want to keep going on this path?" And you know what? Thank God the majority voted for the change. And like I said, now Donald Trump's got to rise to the occasion. He's got to be everything that we believed him that he could be. And so we'll see what direction our great country can get on.
Well, when everybody pulls the lever or fills in the dot, they're hoping that their choice is going to do what they believe, but only time will tell. So now the pressure's really on them, and we'll go from there. Little side note, I think 5 states had votes for legalizing marijuana, for recreational use, not just for medicinal purposes. And from what I understand, I think 3 out of the 5 all won, including Massachusetts, which isn't too far from me. It will begin in December, and they're anticipating big time revenues. 3.54% is what I think the feds get out of it, and then the state is allowed to tack on, or wait a minute, maybe 3.54 for the state. And then the local areas that the shops are going to be in get to add up to another 2% taxation on the marijuana. And in Massachusetts, I think you're allowed to have you're allowed to walk around, I guess, with an ounce, like you are in New York to get a ticket. But you're allowed to have in your possession up to 10 ounces. In case you guys don't know, that's almost a pound. That's 16 ounces is a pound. So you're allowed to have that much in your home. So
that's a lot. Man.
That is a lot.
So look at it.
So we'll see what happens. I believe that there'll be a lot of revenue from that, and it should not be in the same breath as some addictive drugs like heroin and cocaine and stuff like that. But Sal, we got to take a break. Congratulations again. You picked the presidential election weeks ago, and I think we are good for that, and I think you should send Floyd some pointers since he's going to have another baby, and he's got his new sidekick there, and she's a good one. She's a hottie. There's no question about that. And go ahead, put your bets in. A couple of hundred on either side for Pacquiao Mayweather.
I'll do that. I got to cover my loss, cover my bet.
There you go,
but anyway,
man.
Billy, it's a pleasure as always, and we'll look forward to picking it up, I believe, tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
All
right, Annie.
Tomorrow.
We'll talk to you tomorrow, Annie.
Oh, geez. Thank you very much, Rocky.
All right. We'll see you later. My man, Sal Rocky Senecola, you can catch him again tomorrow. But right now, I'm going to take a short break. We're scheduled to have Larry Hazard join us in about 2.
The Billy C. Morning Show will be right back.
Hey, fight fans, check out KOFantasyBoxing.com. KO Fantasy Boxing is boxing's only trademarked fantasy game. Check it out, www.KOFantasyBoxing.com. Select your own gym, your own fighters, track them through a season that can last from 3 months to a year, depending upon which league you join. You got to check this out, man. www.KOFantasyBoxing.com. Join it today. Again, www.KOFantasyBoxing.com, and tell them Billy C sent ya.
Now let's dig into our archives and hear a rare interview when Billy C. first became the champion of boxing talk radio. Hello, Billy C. As the new champ, can we ask you a few questions?
Why, certainly.
Okay, your fans would like to know how you and your corner have successfully walloped the competition.
We're not ordinary people. We're morons.
Anything else?
I'm a victim of circumstance.
Did your success finally come when you made the show 5 days a week for 2 hours? What do you think?
I'm trying to think, but nothing happens.
Now, please tell the listeners what you've learned from making it this far.
Certainly. If at first you don't succeed, keep on sucking till you do succeed.
Great words of wisdom, Billy C. Keep up the great work as the undisputed People's Champion with your show, Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. Any last words to anyone who's listening?
This is your fault, you bonehead.
Check out BillyCBoxing.com now, or feel the wrath of the mighty mustache.
Oh, that hurts. Why are you doing that to my face? I hate you.
That's BillyCBoxing.com. Consider this your warning. Now back to the Billy C. Morning Show. Interact with the show at BillyCBoxing.com.
And we're back. You're listening to the Billy C. Morning Show. Glad to have you with us. Don't forget about my book, Tom Molyneux, From Bondage to Baddest Man on the Planet, is available right now where all good books are sold. You can literally get a copy of it right now by visiting BarnesandNoble.com or Amazon.com. Find out where we got a 5-star rating across the board. Read the reviews. And speaking of reviews, check out www.strictlybusinessboxing.com for a review and some photos from a book signing I did this past weekend. And my man Coach covered that and put up a nice little story on it. So check it out. Joining us right now, Boxing Hall of Famer and New Jersey Athletic Commissioner, my man Larry Hazard. What's up, Larry?
Hey, good morning, Billy. How you doing, buddy?
Not too bad, my man. Not too bad. I wanted to get your thoughts. I'll leave the election out of it, but I will. Wanted to get your thoughts on Manny Pacquiao wins back a title, which really wasn't even the issue. I guess they were referring to that as his coming back from retirement, but I thought he already did that against Bradley, but it was hard to follow. But my initial thoughts of the fight was that I thought that he did very well. I mean, I felt he won the fight, but I was kind of looking for one of those Pacquiao-esque performances where he really, really, dominated a la, his fight with Margarito or with Cotto or someone along those lines. But what we got was a Pacquiao that I felt was fighting in spurts. I kept using the term energy management. To me, it seemed like he was trying to manage his own energy and would fight like Pacquiao used to fight, but not for the whole round, and not certainly for 12, but enough to win the fight. What was your overall thoughts on the fight and his performance?
Well, I think he turned in a decent performance after having been out for the period of time that he was out. And, I'm not surprised that, he employed energy management coming back. A lot of times, I guess, fighters are not quite sure of themselves. I did think after the knockdown in round 2 that he was really going to step it up and give us an early ending. But like you say, he sort of backed off, and he had his spurts here and there. But I think he turned in a decent performance. I had to fight 118, 109 like most of the judges. I would think one of the judges was a little closer, but that's the way I had it. It was a decent performance. I mean, nothing overwhelming. He was he looked to be in charge of the fight from the beginning to the end. Vargas tried, but it was clearly a Pacquiao night. So that's the way I saw it. Coming back off of the layoff, I felt that he was just being a little bit more, cautious than he normally would have been.
Yeah, I had it almost the same as you. I had it 117, 110 for Pacquiao. And I want to get your thoughts on the thing that stood out to me, and it always has with Manny Pacquiao. And it's one of the things that I always look at any fighters. But, man, was it pretty much in focus on Saturday night. His legs. His legs look like Popeye legs, Larry. I mean, what's the importance? And I know you look at legs too. Tell the viewers and listeners why it's so important that these fighters have strength in their legs. And it's obvious with Manny Pacquiao. I mean, you can't miss it.
Everything comes from the legs, Billy. That's where all of the strength comes from. That's where the power in the punches come from, the rotation of the hips and the legs from the waist down. Basically, that's where the force actually comes off. He pushes off those legs. And, of course, fighters need those strong legs to carry them through the fight. Oftentimes, a fighter that has those strong legs gets them out of a lot of trouble, even in absorbing a lot of the punches from the opponents. So, that's why road work and attention to those legs are so important. And everything that the fighter does in training should be, and in most instances are, geared toward building that leg strength, along with everything else. The cardiovascular strength. But those legs, that coordination and the power in those punches comes from the legs and how the feet are planted, the distance between the feet, and how they sit down on. You heard the term "sit down on the punches." That's where the legs come into play. So those of us, who know something about the sport, understand the importance of the legs. How many times have you heard, when a fighter fades in the later rounds, that you hear you hear the fight guys, his legs were gone.
Yep.
When fighters, as they get older, he doesn't have any legs anymore. We all understand and realize the importance of the legs, so that's where it begins,
This Saturday, Top Rank went back to the future, so to speak, by controlling the pay-per-view.
Yes.
They produced it, distributed it, and everything. And I personally think that was good for the sport. I think that maybe promoters should do that again and take that risk. The numbers haven't been released yet, but I would imagine he did okay. A couple of points I want to make on the production that they could tighten up. First and foremost, I liked that Timothy Bradley was part of the broadcast team only from the aspect of he was able to put in perspective what it's like to fight Manny Pacquiao. He said you can practice and prepare for him all you want, but when you step in the ring, it's really hard to understand his hand speed and punching from different angles. And I thought that was a valuable insight, from a viewer. But and although I don't mind Stephen A. Smith on his show, and I find him funny at times, I felt that he was a mistake to bring onto the broadcast, not for his style or anything like that, but for his lack of knowledge of the sport, Larry. It was pretty obvious. He had no idea about the scoring. He kept saying things that weren't right. I mean, when he referred to Zhao Schminging. He made it like it was just a fighter that had virtually no experience because he only had 10 fights or whatever. What's your thoughts on both of those issues?
Well, sometimes you got guys like Stephen A. Smith, who, he comes off kind of Howard Cosell-ish in his other life, and sometimes they think they, Top Rank probably thought that he would, enhance the telecast. I think he's a knowledgeable guy with sports, and his style, is unique to himself. But when it comes to boxing, in order for the fans to really get an appreciation, have an appreciation of an event such as this, you need good boxing, knowledgeable people who have done it, who know what they're talking about, who know how to do the right type of research, and who know what to say and the correct things to say at the time. Timothy Bradley, of course, was a good choice because he fought Pacquiao on more than one occasion, and he's an experienced fighter. He knows what it's like to be in the ring. He knows what the fans need to know, and he knows what to say. Someone like Stephen A. Smith has to gather as much information as he can and then try to make it interesting and try to sound knowledgeable, at the same time, which is very difficult. That's a difficult task for him. And like you say, he was sort of at times like a fish out of water because of his lack of experience.
Exactly. And I thought that he was funny at times, but yeah, his lack of experience in boxing. He knows enough about a lot of sports, but he doesn't know a lot about boxing. That's all. And he does know about Floyd. He's gone head to head with Floyd a couple of times. But also on that card, Oscar Valdez looked like he's going to be a force to be reckoned with in the featherweight division. I think he was, kind of given a, hey, in case you guys forgot who Valdez is, here he is, and then maybe we'll look forward to a more competitive fight next. But the fight I really wanted to get your thoughts on was Magladeno against Nonito Donaire. I've heard some conflicting opinions about that fight. I thought that Magladeno won that fight. I thought that he came on in the beginning and was leading. Then the middle rounds kind of went to Donaire, but then Donaire did the same thing. He seemed to run out of gas. He seemed to be looking for that knockout. He wasn't putting combos together, although when he did land, he did land significant punches. But Magladeno basically outworked him. What was your thoughts?
Well, I agree with that. I mean, we seldom disagree on not too many things, but Magladeno, I thought that he beat the Nair. I thought the Nair came on strong, kind of toward the end, but it was just a little too late. Not enough. It was just a little too late at that point. But Magdaleno seemed like he was in control of the fight most of the way, and I had no real problem, with it the way the fight went. But Donaire just seemed like he just wasn't there, and he tried to come on toward the end, but I think it was just a little too late and just not enough at the time to pull it out. So I had no problem with that decision.
One last thing, Zhao Schminging looked pretty good in his win over Faprom in the opening bout, and he picked up a title. We know that this guy had a stellar amateur career. He's no spring chicken at 35, but and I wasn't surprised that they were going to find him a belt to win. He's a big name in China. He generates tons and tons of money. So none of that's a surprise. But what was a surprise to me, Larry, was that they were calling out Chocolatito after the fight. I'm saying to myself, hey, that's great for Chocolatito, but are they crazy? I mean, this kid, listen, Schming Schminging is a good fighter. He's got fast hands. He's accurate. He's got no pop, no power. But you're calling out the wrong guy, don't you think?
Yeah, well, they better go ahead and pump him for as much as they can, and before they call out Chocolito, because his period, his reign will be over once they do that. Plus, this particular fight, I mean, to me, it was a non-competitive. It was a non-competitive fight. You know, they got him a belt. Okay, the fight was very one-sided in my view, and you know, I mean, it was what it was. But to call out Chocolito after that is totally absurd. And you know, if they want to choke this guy a little bit more, then go right ahead, because he's bringing in the big bucks in China. So I can understand it from a business perspective. But let's be for real. You know, when you're ready to end his career, then you call out Chocolito.
Exactly. Because he's not going to go much further afterwards. But you know what? You hit an important piece on the head. He's so big in China that realistically, from a business perspective, and at 35 years old, if he did get the fight with Chocolito now and assumably loses, that doesn't end his career, you know? So, you know, you got to take it while you can. You know, remember, Chocolito moved up in weight, so maybe he doesn't even want that fight. So, I don't know. But another question.
Well, it'll expose him. It'll pretty much expose him. And then maybe they could put him back on track where he belongs. But
well, you know, the thing is you know, I don't know, man. Expose the kid. Schminging is a quality fighter. I mean, he's fast. He's accurate. He's got footwork. His defense isn't that great, but the knock on him is he's got no pop. He's got no power. And when you fight a guy like when you fight a guy like Gonzalez, he's the epitome of you know, doing everything technically sound. I mean, he's a full package. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's, you know, you're talking apples and oranges. But one other fight I wanted to ask you about real quick was on Friday night, the nephew of Acilio Freitas, Victor Jones Freitas, lost for the first time in his career. He fought Manuel Mendez, and he lost by a body shot. I don't know if you got to see this one, but it was a devastating body shot that put him down. He stood up, then went down again, and really had a hard time breathing and everything else. I love, not for the fighter who suffers it, but I love when the offensive fighter lands a devastating body shot, because it's something that I feel a lot of young fighters don't do well today. And I think it goes back to something you and I have talked about on this show many, many times, that we don't have good teachers anymore that teach them the fundamentals. And working the body is a fundamental part of boxing, don't you think?
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, the old timers, you know, kill the body and the head goes. You know, you chop the tree down, you start from the bottom.
Yep.
You understand?
Yep.
And that's and these little sayings make sense. You know, and it's very, very important for trainers. The good teachers have always taught a good body attacks. You know, you hear them yelling from the corners, down to the body, go to the body. You know, all the good combinations start with the body. I mean, Julio Cesar Chavez, you know, I think he did a lot to make that body shot, that liver shot, famous. You know, and it proves itself. It proves its worth just from the visual, just seeing the damage that it does. You know, and I think that's a good, outstanding lesson for all the young fighters coming up, and for all of the trainers. You know, trainers in training. You know, to remind them of the importance of the body shot, and the other side of that. Okay, the important lesson to fighters, the importance of conditioning of the body, doing those calisthenics that toughen the body. You understand? So that you're able to absorb those shots also. So there's a lot of lessons to learn, and a lot of lessons to learn from that fight about body punching and the importance of the body being in good condition.
Real quick, because I know you don't like to do predictions or anything. There's two halfway decent fights this weekend. Luis Ortiz, heavyweight, going up against Malik Scott. It's kind of a strange fight because Luis Ortiz vacated his interim belt to fight Malik Scott. Do you see this being a competitive fight? I'll ask it to you like that.
No, absolutely not. Okay, we and I don't even have to say why. Okay, so we'll be talking about this next week.
Well,
what round it ended in or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's a great segue for the next question. Do you think Danny Garcia against Samuel Vargas is going to be competitive?
For as long as it lasts, okay, for as long as it lasts. You know what I mean? Garcia's a champion, okay? He's in line for the big shot. You understand? So, I mean, he wanted to fight at home, okay, but we might be in for a surprise because I thought he lost. You remember when he went to Puerto Rico? I think it was Puerto Rico. I forgot that fighter's name.
Yeah, he was in Puerto Rico and he got a gift over there.
Yeah. You remember that? He wanted to fight at home, and all that, which was great. But you saw what happened. So unless that happens again, we know what these are.
Well, I want to end your segment with a smile on your face. All right, and there's two things that I think is going to put a smile on your face. One is reminiscent about someone, and the other is a comment from Bob Arum. Bob Arum. It was announced yesterday that Parker and Andy Ruiz, Joseph Parker and Andy Ruiz, will take place in New Zealand. There was some doubts that was going to happen, and it may have been moved to the States. If you recall, the WBO vacant title is being handed to these two guys to fight for. And Bob Arum made a statement yesterday, and let me read it to you. This is Bob Arum, and I quote, "I give my guy," he was referring to Andy Ruiz, "a hell of a shot, particularly now that he's being trained by Abel Sanchez. Abel will get Ruiz in shape, get him a game plan. The game plan will utilize the tremendous hand speed that Andy has. I haven't seen a heavyweight with that kind of hand speed since Muhammad Ali." What's your thoughts?
Yeah. No, I'm laughing.
Yeah.
I'm really laughing. I'm more than smiling. Okay.
Well, how can he say that?
Bob.
How can he?
That's typical. I mean, that's typical of Bob. Yesterday I was lying. Today I'm telling the truth. That type of shit.
Exactly. Okay? That's along the same. How can he make a statement like that? I mean, poor Muhammad Ali.
How do you even mention these fighters today in the same breath with Muhammad Ali? You notice, I don't even go there. I don't even make those types of comparisons, with fighters from the real eras of boxing. You very rarely have you ever heard me compare any of these fighters today with Sugar Ray Leonard or Marvin Hagler or anything. You got to compare some fights or talk about how great those guys were compared to these. How do you, in the same conversation, compare this guy's hand speed with Muhammad Ali? He should be ashamed of himself.
He should, and that's an understatement. He should be ashamed of himself. And here's the thing. Talk about putting unnecessary pressure on Abel Sanchez. I mean, listen, Andy Ruiz is 6'2". In his last fight, he was in the best shape of his career. He came in at 252. He's weighed in over 270 several times, and he turned pro at 290. I mean, I was never a big fan of Floyd Mayweather, but I give the guy props. He is always in fighting shape, even now that he's retired. So when you do get a fight, like this one's a month away, Floyd can concentrate, or any fighter like Floyd who stays in fighting shape can concentrate on a game plan versus weight loss. I mean, I said earlier, if Abel Sanchez can get Ruiz in shape, he should grow a beard and start wearing sandals because it's going to be a miracle. Come on, man.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned Floyd. Okay, say what you want about Floyd. Floyd Mayweather. So one of his greatest assets is that he lived physically.
Right.
The life of the old-time fighters. He was never out of shape. He never had a weight problem. You understand what I'm saying?
It's important.
And that's what made him as good as he was.
Exactly. Exactly. No, listen, like I said, I was never a big fan, but I give him props for that. But, hey, the last thing I wanted to get your thoughts on, and this may or may not put a smile on your face. Today we're doing a blast from the past on an old New Jersey fighter from the 30s and 40s. And he was a character, quite the character, and we're going to tell our viewers and listeners about him. But what's your thoughts on two-ton Tony Galento?
He's from Orange, New Jersey, which is not far from Newark. Well, he was a comical guy. You know what I mean? He was during that era. Joe Louis played with him, and he got a name for himself. They even got a street named after him up in Orange, New Jersey. So what can I say? I don't have anything. I was a kid when two-ton Tony Galento was fighting, but hey, listen, give him all the credit in the world. I mean, he's a name, and he came from the golden, the platinum era of boxing. So, I got nothing but good things to say about it.
You know what the funny thing is? We did a segment one time a couple of years ago about the bums of the month. Joe Louis during his era, was labeled as the bum of the month club. He fought bums of the month. Every month he fight at the Garden or whatever, and they called them bums of the month. And when you start to look at these guys, a la Tony Galento was one of those guys, and you look at them, and you look at their records, you look at their physical attributes and who they fought and who they won to earn those shots. Most of them would be champions today, Larry. I mean, that's the sad part of it. Abe Simon and these guys. I mean, come on, they would have destroyed somebody. Right. Even two-ton Tony Galento was, not a physique, a guy with a great physique or anything like that, but he could bang and he was tough. So I don't know.
Well, he was no butterbean. I bet you that.
No, butterbean. No, and he was funny. It's when George Foreman came back for the second time. He was promoting himself eating cheeseburgers. Well, Tony Galento was eating cheeseburgers and drinking beer in between rounds. For God's sake.
Yeah.
But anyway, Larry, we'll be talking next week on the results from the fights this weekend, and hopefully we'll have some interesting stuff to talk about, except other than just what we think is going to happen.
Okay, Billy.
All right, my man. Listen, you have a good rest of the week, and we'll talk to you next week.
Okay.
All right, take care. That's my man, Larry Hazard, boxing commissioner of New Jersey and boxing Hall of Famer. Hey, listen, we're going to take a short break. When we come back, we'll have Alex Papali, and we'll be doing the blast from the past. Two-ton Tony Galento coming up in 2.
The Billy C. Morning Show will be right back.
Join us here for 2 hours as Billy and the gang do what they do best.
Every time I start talking about boxing, a white man got to pull Rocky Marciano out their ass. Rocky Marciano was good, but compared to Joe Louis, Rocky Marciano ain't.
You beat Joe Louis's ass.
Joe Louis was 75 years old when he fought.
Huh?
What? We're supposed to be talking boxing.
It's Talking Boxing with Billy C.
Hey, fight fans, check out KOFantasyBoxing.com. KO Fantasy Boxing is boxing's only trademarked fantasy game. Check it out, www.KOFantasyBoxing.com. Select your own gym, your own fighters, track them through a season that can last from 3 months to a year, depending upon which league you join. You got to check this out, man, www.KOFantasyBoxing.com. Join it today. Again, www.KOFantasyBoxing.com, and tell them Billy C sent ya.
Check out BillyCBoxing.com now, or feel the wrath of the mighty mustache.
Oh, that hurts. Why are you doing that to my face? I hate you.
That's BillyCBoxing.com. Consider this your warning. Now back to the Billy C. Morning Show, part of the Billy C. Boxing Network. Interact with the show at BillyCBoxing.com.
And we're back. You're listening to the Billy C. Morning Show. right here on ESPN New Hampshire. Glad you guys could join us. And don't forget, you're watching us on Fight TV. And if you don't have Fight TV for your handheld app, download the free app right now on our website. Go to www.billycboxing.com and click on the Fight TV banner, which is on the right-hand side of the screen. It's FITE.tv. Download the banner and watch our show on your handheld whenever you want. Well, it's time for the
Blast from the past. We shine the spotlight again on fighters from years past.
top-ranking heavyweight. Joe Louis is the leading contender.
Joe Frazier with a left hook. Good right hand thrown by Foreman that time. Look at that left hook. Belt that goes to Ray Mancini.
It's Blast from the Past on Talkin' Boxing.
And this week's Blast from the Past, which is being sponsored by KOFantasyBoxing.com. Check it out, www.KOFantasyBoxing.com. And the Title Bout Championship computer game. Download your copy now by visiting our website, BillyCBoxing.com, and clicking on the Title Bout banner, which is on the left-hand side. Features a very colorful guy in the sport of boxing. He is a former world heavyweight title challenger, and he was quite the character in the heavyweight division. Our guy today is two-ton Tony Galento. And joining me right now to tell us all about two-ton is my man, Alex Perpali. What's up, Alex?
Good morning, Billy C. How you doing?
I'm doing good. How you doing, my man?
Oh, great.
Oh, come on. It won't be that bad. Won't be that bad. It wouldn't have been. Listen, it would have been just as bad the other way. We're going to have a rough 4 years, but it should even out. That was my plan from the beginning.
I would have taken corruption over neo-fascism, even though I didn't vote for her.
Yeah, but you want to know something? You gotta at least see if, because some people were saying that a lot of the stupidity that was demonstrated by our future President Donald Trump was the campaigning Donald Trump. Now we owe him a chance at least to see if he's going to seem a little more presidential now that he won, like he did in his victory speech. To me, that was one of his best and calmest speeches I ever heard. So I don't know, man. We got to give him a chance, and we'll see what happens.
I didn't listen to the speech yet. I went to bed because when was the speech? Like 2:30 in the morning.
Yeah, it was around like 1, a little after 1 when she called and conceded.
Oh, it had to be later than that because I went to bed at 1:30.
It was around that time. It was around 1:30. Yeah. But anyway, check it out. It's up there. But
I'll have to watch it because I don't see him moving to the center in the least. Why would he do that now? He's been rewarded for being as absolutely divisive as could be, and just poisoning the whole pool with invective, divisiveness, and crassness. I don't know. I think the rest of the world is probably pretty stunned.
Well, now the phase is for him that he realizes, I hope somebody whispered in his ear that the way it works is he's got to get the support of all the other guys that are around him in Congress and the Senate and everything else. And maybe he's starting to shift those gears. We'll see. We know the stock market is taking a hit today and or started to take a hit in the early openings from around the world. So we'll see what happens. But Tony, two-ton Galento. Tell us,
Tony Galento. Yeah, they sure. I wonder. It's amazing how much fat shaming was done to this poor guy, because by today's standards, he really wasn't all that fat. He was shaped like Butterbean, but he's a hell of a lot thinner than Butterbean. He's a hell of a lot hairier than Butterbean, and he might have actually smelled quite bad. He had a habit of purposely not showering to try to be as offensive as possible when he got into the ring. That he used his body odor as like another fist. I read one thing that they said that he smelled like sweat and tuna. Which is just downright disgusting.
It is. That picture just came in my mind. I'm like, oh God, sweat and tuna. Give me a break. Oh, my God.
But he was born March 12th, 1910, in Orange, New Jersey. His real name is Dominic Anthony Galento. He got the nickname Two-Ton, ironically not from his phenotype, but from he was an ice man. He delivered ice, and one time he showed up late to a weigh-in, and they were like, "Where the hell were you?" And he said, I just got done delivering 2 tons of ice. So the name Two-Ton stuck from that. He was one of 4 kids to Italian immigrants. He left school after the 6th grade and started working, like I said, mostly as an iceman, which, I don't think we have anything like that now that we have, refrigeration and freezers. Everybody's got their own. But back in the 30s, that was 20s and 30s. That was a career.
Well, wait. Let me just point out. It's just for these people that don't understand what an Iceman did. And they probably never watched The Honeymooners, but back in the day, especially in the cities, that's how you kept food fresh. That you had what they called an ice box, and it wasn't run by electric. You'd put a big block of ice in it. In one portion of it, and would keep your food fresh. And guys like Tony Galento would have to carry these big blocks of ice up into the apartments where people lived, and it was no easy job, man. And you could see why some of these guys got to be big and muscular, maybe not Adonis type shapes, but Tony Galento type shapes. But it wasn't an easy job, right?
No, it had to be a lot of work because the great big chunks of ice and moving those around, it had to be, some serious physical labor, and that was the thing about him was that, like you've called it, farm strength. He had that kind of, just plain. He was only 5'9", but he was over 200 pounds, so he was a compact, tightly wound keg of a man with barrel chest and big waist. But he threw pretty powerful left hook. He didn't really clinch. He had a really very tough swarming style, very dirty. He hooked behind the head. He gouged eyes. But at one point, I guess he was a decent fighter. He made his amateur debut at 16 years old. He lost only one amateur fight in 2 years. And he became middleweight, light heavyweight, and heavyweight champion of New Jersey. He was kind of built like a weeble, and it was damn hard to knock him down. He was only knocked down a few times. And when we're talking about being knocked down by some of the best in the business, like Joe Louis, and I think Max Baer. I'm not sure if Max Baer ever did put him down.
Buddy Baer,
but he certainly brutalized him.
Yeah, well, he was. You mentioned a dirty fighter, and you're not the only one because in 2003 there was a book that was put out called "Boxing's Most Wanted," the top 10 book of champs, chumps, and punch drunk palookas, and Tony Galento was named the 4th dirtiest fighter of all time in that one. And his fight with Lou Nova, which, he fought after his world title shot, was the Ring Magazine voted that one the 3rd dirtiest fight of all time in 1997. He, I guess, was known for some unsavory tactics.
Yeah, very much. If you watch the fight with Max Baer, it's one of the dirtiest fights there had ever been. And not only is are the tactics dirty, but you could see, evidently, the people at ringside could hear them cussing each other out. And you can see Max Baer talking at length to Galento. So it does seem like they were just ripping on each other and swearing at each other during the fight. That was one of the things. Joe Louis really couldn't stand him. Joe Louis wanted to hurt him very badly, wanted to punish him, hoped to take him about 10 rounds and punish him and pound him. But when they fought, because what Galento did was, I guess he got his home phone number and would call him at home and tell him, I'm going to moiter you, you bum. And Lewis didn't like being referred to as a bum. And so by the time they fought, Lewis really wanted to beat him bad, but Galento actually rocked Lewis and put him down.
Third round.
And once Lewis was on the deck, that was it. All bets were off, and he ended up knocking out Galento in 4 rounds. And a more brutal knockout you may not find, because I think it's 38 unanswered punches, something like that.
Yeah, it was actually
in the final round.
It was actually waved off.
Yeah, it was waved off with Galento like collapsing into the ground.
The funny thing is Lewis had dropped Galento in the second round of that title fight, and Galento came back in the third and dropped him. Both of them succumbed to left hooks. So you could see it. But the thing about Tony Galento is that yes, he was a very popular fighter. He swore that his training regimen included eating burgers and spaghetti and washing them down with beer, and didn't like training much, and for the most part didn't, which we'll get to a little bit later. But when you look at his rise, and don't forget the Ring magazine in 1939, just prior to his, or I guess it was the same year. I don't know when the issue came out. It was different then than it is today, where they come out so far advanced. But he was ranked number 1. He was ranked as the number 1 heavyweight in the world, contender-wise, next to Joe Louis, who was the champion in 1939. And when I dissect his career prior to the Joe Louis fight, I to be honest with you, as interested as I am in Tony Galento, and I know a little about this guy, the person, I can't see how. I mean, he didn't really beat the big names. As a matter of fact, the bigger names he had trouble with. Most of his losses were against the big names. He did fight a guy that we did do a blast on before, Nathan Mann, and stopped him. He beat Abe Feldman in the fight just before Joe Louis, but the biggest wins he had was actually Lou Nova, and that came after his title fight.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, it wasn't so much any one particular name that he defeated to get the shot at Lewis, but it was that, like you said, he was the top contender, and after he had lost to Arturo Godoy for the second time on June 22nd, 1937, well, he won 11 straight fights, all by knockouts, including the win over Nathan Mann. So, he was right there as one of the challengers, so he did get the title shot.
Well, he fought 9 times in 1937, 5 times in 1938, and then another 4 or 5 times before he fought Lewis for the title in 39. So, and then he fought again relatively quickly 3 months after he lost to Joe Louis against Lou Nova. So, I mean, he was a busy fighter. Something stay the same in the sport, because it seems today, if fighters stay busy, which in today's world isn't 9 times in 1 year, it's 3 times, they seem to get title shots. But he did have some pop. He did take a beating. He did lose 26 times, but he was only stopped 6. And like you said, I think he was only technically knocked out off his feet once, right?
Yeah, I think Lewis was the only one that had him off his feet, and what was it, twice in that fight. But yeah, one of the quotes I have from him, he told a member of the New Jersey Boxing Commission, "Who is this guy, Queensberry? I don't see anything wrong in sticking your thumb into any guy's eye, just a little."
Yeah, he had some great quotes. He had, he came up with the Almoida the bum. He came up with a bunch of stuff. But, one of the things I wanted to mention, he was also kind of billed as a white hope during the Joe Louis time. And that's something that we knew James Jeffries was when he fought Jack Johnson. But, and we had later people billed as a white hope. But Tony Galento is one that I didn't realize was.
Yeah, I mean, it was still in that age where some people had problems with, dark-skinned heavyweight champion. So there were there were there was some enthusiasm behind a big, dangerous white guy, and he certainly did. He packed a heavyweight wallop. There's no doubt about it. I mean, even if he was fouling you, if he caught you with a clean left hook, he could put you out. I mean, he was a hard puncher, and that's the thing when you watch the fight with Joe Louis. I mean, the thing that makes him, I think, so dangerous is just plain aggression and the work rate. He's constantly trying. So there's a toughness that he had, that whether it was innate or something he learned, but he certainly was an aggressive guy. He didn't really clinch. He was all over you in close, but it wasn't like a John Ruiz type of mugging style. It was more of an all over you kind of thing. You just couldn't keep him off. But like you said, it does sound like he had a tumultuous relationship with his brother. In 1936, he opened a tavern on Day Street in Orange, New Jersey, called the Nut Club Bar. And evidently, he would often fight with his brother Russell about how much money was left in the cash register. And before the day or the night before the fight with Max Baer, the fight got so intense with his brother that his brother hit him with a beer bottle and cut him in his scalp, and he required stitches. So he went into the Max Baer fight with stitches in his head.
Geez, things have changed. They wouldn't. I've seen fighters try and cover up black and blue with makeup, so commissions wouldn't give a second look. But some other tales of Tony Galento. In 1931, on May 5th, on May 1st, I think, he fought 3 times in one night. Won 2 fights by knockout and won by a 3-round decision. And apparently, according to the stories that followed, he bet a guy that he could eat. I'm sorry. This is another one I'm going to talk about. This night that he won, May 1st in 1931, he fought 3 times in one night. And apparently he was drinking beer in between rounds instead of water. What do you think of that?
That's crazy. Yeah, he definitely liked beer, and eventually that did lead to diabetes. But I do think that it's amazing to, this is right along the lines of the John L. Sullivan days, where you had just that hard-living, wild-swinging brawler-type fighter who he could knock them back, with the best of them, and then, go out in the parking lot and fight them, too. So there was definitely, it's a throwback type mentality, that's for sure.
Well, how about this? In April of 1932, he bet a guy $10 that he could eat more than 50 hot dogs, and he did. He ate 52. All right, and then that night he goes and fights, and he beats Arthur Decoux in a fight where he knocked him out in 4 rounds. I mean, if I ate 50, first of all, there's no way I could eat 50 hot dogs, let alone 52. But if I did, I doubt I'd be in any kind of fighting shape later that evening. What do you think of that?
Oh, God, I know.
It's sickening. It's almost as bad as perspiration and tuna smell. I mean, God, that's there's a lot of stories like that with him. You mentioned the I'll murder the bum. What about in the last part of his career, he actually became friends with Jack Dempsey, and Jack Dempsey was insisted that this guy was going to be a champion, that he was better than he looked, and he actually recruited and talked Ray Arcel into training him. And the story goes, one day Dempsey walks into the gym, which was Stillman's at the time, and Ray Arcel is sitting there, and he's watching Tony Galento messing around, fooling around, and not training. He says, well, what's going on? He said, well, I can't get this guy to train. This is what he's doing. And Dempsey got in the ring, put on gloves. It was dressed in a suit, put on gloves, and basically smacked the shit out of Galento. and took his gloves off, threw him on the floor in disgust, and said to Reyes, "Oh, you're right. This guy will never be nothing," and ended his relationship with him. Pretty crazy, huh?
Yeah, I mean, you kind of want to classify it as another loss to a Hall of Famer, because from the reports, he got cut open and beat up pretty badly by Jack Dempsey in that sparring match.
Yeah, no, it's...
And Jack Dempsey was 45 years old at the time.
I know, that's what I'm saying. It wasn't like he was training. He was dressed in they refer to him, he was dressed in a suit. You know, he took off his jacket and he was fighting him in a white silk shirt with a tie and with the gloves on and smacked him around.
Yeah, and it sounds like Dempsey was just disgusted at the lack of work ethic from Galento and just wanted to hammer him.
That's exactly what it was. Lack of ethic, worth ethic, and the fact that, he didn't take his trade seriously. And, people criticized Jack Dempsey for not being a guy more than just a brawler, but obviously he had pride in the sport, and that's important. That's my big hang up of what's missing today. It's about the money, and you guys have heard me talk about movies and stuff with boxers, and Galento actually was in the movie with Marlon Brando on the waterfront. There was several fighters in that movie. Abe Simon was in that movie as well. If you ever watch that flick, you could pick out who's who, because they clearly look like former fighters or current fighters in that movie. They were all part of the dock workers and tough guys that were down there, and Tony Galento was one of them.
Yeah, the other one I think was Tammy Moriello.
Yeah, that's right, Tammy Moriello, the former light heavyweight or middleweight champ, right?
Yeah, and Galento plays a thug, and he has a classic line after a guy, I think Galento throws a man off a building. He says, "The canary can sing, but he couldn't fly."
He couldn't fly. That's right. He had a couple of... He actually had a pretty decent role in that movie, Galento.
Yeah, and evidently he was in Guys and Dolls as well, and Wind Across the Everglades and The Best Things in Life Are Free, movies in the 50s and 60s. And he did go into a career in wrestling as well.
Yeah, he did that after boxing. Now, he owned the bar with his brother during his boxing career. Did he stay in that business after he retired?
Yes, and he did the movies, and he did some stand-up comedy, which I would imagine. I was hoping that there was a clip of his stand-up act on YouTube, but no such luck. There is the Bear fight and the Lewis fight are on there, and there's also a restored radio broadcast of the fight with Lou Nova.
I have a story to share about Two-Ton Tony Galento, and it involves Tony Treem, a guy that's a good friend of mine, and he's worked with us here on this show doing the heavyweight spotlight. And one time, his father, Tony Treem's dad, I believe, was a fan of Two-Ton Galento and ran into him in a place. It was whatever, they were traveling wherever they were. I forget every part of the story, but basically collected matchbooks, like matches, and asked Tony Galento if he, had any matches from his nightclub or something like that. And Tony said, "Give me your address, I'll send it to you." And Tony Treem's father felt that, he's never going to hear from this guy again. And lo and behold, a couple of weeks later, he gets a package in the mail from Tony Galento, and he sent him a bunch of little knick-knack things, a cigar, matchbooks from his bar in New Jersey, the Nut Club, and some other things, a signed photo and autograph. So it kind of shows you that Two-Ton Tony Galento, as crude as he could be, he acknowledged and appreciated the fans. And I've always said, Alex, that boxing is like no other sport. Boxers generally are the most approachable athletes in professional sports today. When you meet a fighter, generally, I mean, there are some exceptions, but generally they're very approachable and very eager to talk with you. And and do the right thing. And it's something that I think separates boxing from other sports.
Yeah, evidently he was a charismatic guy, and that even Joe Louis, even though they didn't like each other when they fought, Louis took a shine to him later in life. They got along, and Galento even helped him out when Louis was down on his luck. So he's showing there Galento has a good heart too. So yeah, it's a lot of boxers are big-hearted people.
And speaking of hearts, you mentioned earlier that he did suffer from diabetes, had a leg amputated, right, at one point?
Yeah, two of them. First, he lost his feet. He had a 3-year battle with diabetes at the end of his life, and he lost his feet, and then he lost a portion of his left leg at around the mid-calf and was fitted with an artificial limb, but then right towards the end, his right leg was amputated. And then he died of circulatory problems and, diabetes complications.
Yeah, at 69 years old in 1979. So, really, I mean, I guess by today's standards, he died pretty young.
Yeah, definitely a young guy. And I mean, he was definitely someone, like you said, they would use the his size as a marketing ploy. So he was very often posed for pictures, eating a big bowl of pasta or drinking beer. He fought a bear. I'm sorry, was it
octopus?
A bear?
The octopus.
Yeah, he fought a kangaroo, I guess, at one point, and then at one point he actually fought an octopus, to promote a fight. And I guess he got in the tank and just sort of, swam around with it because I guess it was dead.
No. What happened was the octopus, they were promoting something, and the octopus had died the night before. And it was this giant octopus. It was a giant octopus. So what he did was he got in there and basically, like you would with a big stuffed animal, grabbed it, latched onto it, and tumbled around on the mat and stuff. And in the tank, and pretended he was wrestling this octopus who was already dead. And then the news came out that he killed him and everything else, and then they had to come out and come clean that the thing was already dead. But what a character, huh?
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. I wish there was footage of that.
Yeah, no doubt. It would have been funny. Would have any footage or even some tape of some of the things that he's recorded as saying. But Tony Galento was quite the character. One thing for all our affiliates, we will not be taking a break. But you knew that because Alex never lets us take a break, so we're not taking a break here. But Alex, anything else you want to add to Tony Galento of his career after boxing? Because he seemingly fought consistently throughout his career from when he turned pro back in 1928, and he fought all the way up through 1939, his big fight with Lou Nova after his title fight. He fought once in 40, once in 41, so consistently, and then really for the only time in his career had a 1-year layoff, did not fight at all in 42, came back and fought a couple of times in 1943, and then his last time in 1944, which his last 3 fights all ended with wins, and then by knockout as well. I mean, that was his swan song. Is there anything else to add about him in terms of, when he ended his boxing career and made the move to his life that we talked about afterwards with the bar and the acting and the comedy and the wrestling with octopuses?
Yeah, it was after 44 that he took out a license as a professional wrestler, and then had the acting experience. Because wrestling is part spectacle, so a lot of wrestlers, it's not a huge leap to get into the movies. He married Mary Grasso of Orange, New Jersey in 1935. They had a son, Anthony, in 1938, but then they separated in 1948. When he died, he left a brother, Russell, and 2 sisters. That's about it.
Who'd you put him in against in the title bout?
I put him in against heavyweights Vladimir Klitschko, Tyson Fury, and Deontay Wilder. I think, just from what we've learned about Tony Galento and just watching some of the tapes, I think that if he was around today, it's very likely he would have picked up a title. How he didn't do so hot against Vladimir Klitschko. The first time they fought, Vlad won by knockout, stopped him in 4 rounds at 2 minutes and 45 seconds. When they fight 100 times, Vladimir Klitschko dominated him, 85 victories, 13 defeats, 2 draws with 58 knockouts. In his 13 wins, Two-Ton Tony was able to score 12 knockouts. Oh, and I should mention that I've been talking to Mark Jones of the Title Bout Championship Boxing Game. He's one of their advisors and one of the programmers that works on the game, and he's helped me. I have been telling him, who we are going to do the blasting, and he makes sure he's updated in the system for me. So I just wanted to say a little shout-out to Mark, and a thank you for that. I then had him fight Tyson Fury, and the first time that they fought, Tony Galento beat Fury by knockout, technical knockout at 1 minute 50 seconds of round 9. He had Fury down in the first and the 8th, and then stopped. The fight was stopped with Fury being battered and bloodied in round number 9. When they fight 100 times, Galento gets the best of him. 51 victories, 43 defeats, 6 draws, 29 knockouts, and of his 43 wins, Fury scored 26 KOs. And then I had him fight Deontay Wilder. The first time they fought, the fight was declared a majority draw. One score of 113-113, one score of 114-114, and one score of 114-113 for Deontay Wilder. When they fight 100 times, Galento gets the better of him. 64 victories, 35 defeats, 1 draw, with 55 KOs, and in his 35 wins, Deontay Wilder scored 21 knockouts.
Interesting. You pick 3 real big guys in Klitschko, Tyson Fury, and Deontay Wilder, and the guy that gives them trouble is Klitschko. Who I mean, it's kind of strange. I mean, we all know that Klitschko has that punching power, but so does Wilder. I mean, I'm not a big fan of Wilder, not Wilder himself, but the way they make him out to be, that he's so great. But the one credit I do have to give him is he's got freakish punching power. Something that Tyson Fury, I've always thought, didn't have the power that he should because of his size. So it's kind of size, because it's kind of interesting to see that he dominates Fury and Wilder, but yet Klitschko dominates him more so than he dominates the other two. It's pretty interesting with the outcome on Title Bout. That's pretty cool. But Two-Ton Tony Galento is our blast from the past today. He was a former world heavyweight title challenger. He had a career record of 80 wins, 57 coming by knockout for a 51% KO ratio. He did lose 26 times, in which he was only stopped 6. And like Alex said, off his feet only once. He had 5 draws, and he passed away at 69 years old in 1979. Tony Two-Ton Galento, or Two-Ton Tony Galento, however you want to say it. Our blast from the past. Great job as usual, Alex. I want to get your thoughts on a couple of things before we get into the fight. Speaking of overweight fighters, Andy Ruiz, according to Bob Arum, has the fastest hands since Muhammad Ali. Both Larry and I find that extremely comical. What do you think?
I think that's comical, but I do think that it shows you that promoters are always selling.
Yeah, they're trying to tell you that it's sunny and beautiful out when you're sitting in the middle of a hurricane. Yep, that's them. And one other thing in the news yesterday actually was Floyd Mayweather. Goes to that hot teacher. I don't know if you remember, but she was gorgeous. She was getting criticized for wearing not revealing clothes to her school. She was an elementary school teacher, but just clothes that showed off how gorgeous her body was. Well, apparently Floyd Mayweather paid her $3 million to teach him how to read, and he ends up knocking her up. What's your thoughts on that?
I really don't know what to say about that. I mean, I find it hard to believe that he actually did pay her to teach him how to read.
So what are you saying, Alex? Are you saying that he just paid her to have a little something on the side, or what?
No, I just think that the whole thing is not true. I mean, I don't buy that. I mean, I actually volunteer at a New Haven Reads and help kids with reading, and we do it for free.
Yeah, but Floyd Mayweather's not going. Wait a minute.
Maybe he needs remedial help.
Well,
he needs a specialist.
Well, no, but he needed a little something on the side. And when he saw those pictures like me, at least he had the power to get a hold of her. But the truth of the matter is that he would never go in public. He, obviously it's kind of blown up for him. His plan didn't work the way he thought. But I don't know. It doesn't surprise me, because a lot of times
I find it hard to believe that he admits he can't read.
Well,
I always thought that was something that 50 Cent said, but he never came out and agreed. Yeah, I can't read.
Wait a minute. Did you ever hear the outtakes that radio station released of him trying to?
Yes, I did.
All right. So what are you talking about? What are you talking about?
But I mean, that's different from him admitting openly, "I'm paying this woman $1 million to teach me how to read."
Well, he's not going to.
That's a level of humility that I don't think he would do.
I got news for you. He's not going to admit that the kid is his either till the tests come back. I mean, come on, until they hit him with a child. What do they call that? Child. When they have to pay child support.
Child support.
Yeah,
right.
Child support for the next 18 years. So. Anyway, and by the way, she's retired from her teaching job. So what is that? She certainly didn't retire because she was getting all the emails from people, drooling over her like I was. She might have retired because she got $3 million to teach him to read. Now she's set for life with the kid, So whatever. But let's get back to boxing. Manny Pacquiao beats Jesse Vargas over the weekend. I know you gave us your thoughts on the post-fight show, but. Now that we had a chance to let it settle in and stuff, I feel that Pacquiao, I was a little harsh on him in terms of the performance I was expecting from him or felt that he needed to garner another Mayweather fight. It was a dominating performance, but no knockout. And as I sat and thought about it, it was a perfect opponent, and maybe Jesse Vargas was fighting because he was happy to be there. What's your thoughts now that the fight has, been over for several days?
I thought it was, a good performance by Manny Pacquiao. Like I said on the post-fight show, that I think you can't help but compare it to previous Pac-Man performances, and in that sense, he's definitely showing his age. If you just look at the punch figures. He threw 408 total punches in that fight. Well, just a couple of years ago, when he fought Algieri, he fought 669. When he fought Bradley the first time, he threw 751. When he fought Cotto, he threw 560. When he fought Bradley the third time, the previous fight, he was down to 439. So his activity rate has definitely slowed down, and that was something you were saying, is that it seemed like he was fighting in spurts almost, and I do think that that's the thing, is that there's an economy to his output now that makes him a little less fun to watch, and certainly a little less dominant, a little less likely to score a knockout, because he's just not hitting you as often. And I think that that's why I think that if they do have a rematch with Mayweather, we're not going to see anything different whatsoever, and why I don't want to see a rematch. I mean, it would be one thing if I thought that Pacquiao was bringing in something very different to the rematch. I don't really buy that the shoulder being 100% would make things all that different. So I think Vegas put the odds at 3.5 to 1 for Mayweather to win a rematch if they were to fight, and I agree with that. I just don't think that. I think even though Pacquiao is still one of the best welterweights in the world, I think it's a long way from him being able to beat Mayweather. I mean, that said, there's still fights for him that would be interesting.
You see, first of all, I said that term that night, and I still think that it was energy management that they were really focusing on in the spurts. It seemed that way to me anyway. And as far as Jesse Vargas is concerned, the guy's got a solid chin. He's never been knocked out. His only 2 losses came at the hands of Manny and Timothy Bradley. So, it was a guy that was outgunned. I think Timothy Bradley said it best during the broadcast. You have no way to prepare for Manny Pacquiao's speed and angles until you're in the ring, and generally that's too late. As far as the rematch with Floyd, if you and I am the first guy online to say we cannot use the shoulder as an excuse. To me, I lost a lot of respect for Manny when he came back and used the shoulder as an excuse. I always think of Tommy Hearns when he lost to your guy Hagler. And he never complained about breaking his hand or anything till years later. And I thought that Manny should have just given Floyd the credit for beating him. But if you do think about the shoulder, and maybe that explains why his output wasn't as active. I'm thinking that a rematch with Floyd Mayweather, from Manny Pacquiao's point of view, what does he have to lose? Why wouldn't he go in there? Balls to the wall and try and knock out Mayweather, which he didn't seem to do in the first one, and maybe that was a result of an injured shoulder.
Yeah, I mean, I think that what you have to do against Floyd is overwhelm him. That's the only way to hope that you could beat his defense, is to overwhelm him. And I just don't think that he can maintain that work rate that he needs to. Good shoulder or not, that he would need to against Mayweather. But, because that's the thing that Floyd is best at, is getting you to throw far fewer punches than you normally do. He makes you hesitate. And Manny's already throwing far fewer punches than he used to, and I think that the combination of the two, make it just a matchup that it would be more of what we already saw.
Well, that's a great point. But get ready for it, because that's the only fight that makes sense for both of them. You can't expect Manny or Floyd at this point. He didn't demonstrate it, when he had the chance. And, Floyd's about safety first, low risk, high reward. All of those, when you put him in the supercomputer, it spits out Manny Pacquiao. So any difference in thoughts on the Magladano-Nonito Donaire fight? Donaire is a power puncher, and I think, I personally think that he's a different fighter when his father's not in his corner. But is this the end for Donaire?
I think it might be. He didn't get beaten up, but he certainly got outclassed a bit. And I don't know. I think that it did seem that there were moments where he had, flashes of his old self, but I do think that it could be that we've seen the best of Nonito Donaire.
The one thing I really look at with Donaire is he didn't complain. He says I took my foot off the gas. He was already admitting why he lost that night when he was leaving the ring. But one thing I mentioned to Larry, and I never got a chance to ask you the other night, but although it wasn't the main event, the nephew of Acilio Freitas, Victor Jones Freitas, lost for the first time to Manuel Mendez on Friday, and it was due to a devastating body shot that put Freitas down. He did get up, but then went down again and was counted out. I mentioned to Larry earlier that, not that I have anything against Freitas or am a huge fan of Manuel Mendez, but I loved that the fight ended that way because it was ended by a body shot, and it's something I feel that a lot of young fighters don't employ anymore because maybe they're not taught correctly. What's your thoughts of seeing that on a big broadcast like a Showtime, and seeing a picture perfect body shot that just devastated a young fighter, stops him in his tracks? I mean, don't you think we should see more of that?
Yeah, I love fighters that work the body. I think that we did get to enjoy Canelo's recent big fight against Liam Smith, which was a nice body shot. Whenever you see a guy who doesn't like to spare the ribs, it's a more complete fighter. And I think that it's always a good sign when you see a fighter who goes after the body. It just, in a pro fight, it means a lot more to put you put damage in the bank when you hit a guy in the body. They can't shake those punches off. They're cumulative. They can't shake them off like they can head punches. So I always think that going after the ribs makes a lot of sense.
It's funny. You make a great point, and a lot of times a fighter will employ a body attack so it will pay dividends later in the round, but later in the fight. But when you see a guy land a body shot that ends the fight right there, that's even more appreciable as far as me, as a fan. And I give both the fighter and his training staff credit for that. This week we got.
I asked Dr. Michael Schwartz of Connecticut recently at a Mohegan Sun card. I asked him about that because I asked him about the liver punch, if there really is such thing as a liver punch, because I always thought that was kind of misnamed because there are no nerve endings in your liver. So I thought it seemed like that you were actually hitting muscle or something that causes the knockdown and that the inability to breathe. But he disagreed. He said no, there is such thing as a liver punch, and what's actually happening is the punch is so hard that it forces blood out of the liver, and it creates this massive cramping in the lower body. That's why guys can't get up, and that's why when Gotti got up from that body shot from Mickey Ward, he was doing something that was like an unheard of physical ability to will himself to stand. When you physiologically, the punch makes it almost impossible to stand. So it really did make me see that first Gotti Ward moment in a different light.
That's interesting.
And it's scary to think that that's what's actually happening, is that the punch is so hard that, your circulation is affected. The blood is actually forced out of the liver. Ugh.
It's your body reacting, trying to protect itself, and you're going against it. It's pretty interesting. A couple more things. First and foremost, Luis Ortiz against Malik Scott this weekend. How do you see the fight going, and who's going to win?
I'm looking forward to watching it. I don't think that Malik Scott is the most thrilling fighter in the world, that's for sure, but I do think that Luis Ortiz is the most talented heavyweight titleist, or near titleist, whatever you want to call him, top heavyweight out there today. So I do think that he will score a knockout of Malik Scott. I just hope he looks good in doing so. I think, we've been sort of treated to this new era of heavyweights where it seems like anything can happen, but there's been nothing but fights made and then unmade, and then rumors of big fights, and then duds that we have to sit through before we get the big fights. So it's nice to finally see that there's a heavyweight fight that's going to happen, and it'll be free on HBO. Well, not free, but close to free on HBO. So I am looking forward to watching it. And like I said, I do like Luis Ortiz, so I'm hopeful.
Also on Saturday, after that fight, Danny Garcia, according to reports, is fighting a tune-up fight so he can fight Keith Thurman early next year. He's taking on Samuel Vargas. Will the fight be competitive?
No, I don't think so. But that's, what is that, on Spike?
Yeah, that's on Spike.
Yeah, I'll watch, but no, I don't think it should be too competitive. Hopefully he scores a knockout and doesn't. We've seen Danny Garcia show up there and be extended by guys that we thought he'd beat. So hopefully this will be one of those nights where he looks good and looks, gives us a nice appetizer for a fight against Thurman.
And finally, it was voted on yesterday and reported that the state of Massachusetts has approved recreational use for marijuana. How do you think that's going to fare for the state? I mean, I've read everything very positive about it. It's clearly a revenue generator, and I'm sure everybody in Massachusetts and surrounding states are going to light up today I don't know, an appreciation of the new law and in celebration. I don't know. What's your thoughts on that?
I think it's very encouraging. I'm glad to hear it. I think pot did pretty well on a lot of the ballot initiatives. I think it got approved in California as well.
Yeah, the only ones that didn't, I think, was Arizona and one other one. All the other ones approved it.
Yeah, wow. Well, I mean, here in Connecticut, I have my medical marijuana card, so I'm all set. But
do you
now? Yeah, I do.
Huh.
I got it. I just got it in September.
They have they said that 1/5 of the American population after the votes yesterday will now, as long as you're over 21, 1/5 of 21 or older will now live in an area where they can get recreational marijuana. So hey, it's turning around. I didn't.
Yeah, I think it's great. I mean, I think that we have a really dysfunctional relationship with alcohol, and marijuana is not as dangerous as alcohol physiologically. I mean, just the blast we did. The guy, was definitely affected by alcohol consumption. Diabetes is the direct result of that. I mean, you're drinking just pure sugar. And not only that, but it does things to your brain. It can cause cancer. Marijuana does not have those kind of negative effects. So I don't know. It's good that attitudes are changing about that, and I hope that what happens is in sport, people start changing their minds, so we don't have things like when Julio Cesar Chavez was punished. With just an exorbitant punishment for marijuana. You hear about it in the NFL and stuff. So hopefully attitudes will start changing.
Like I've always said, you never hear about somebody going home after smoking weed and beating up their wife. That doesn't happen, but you do hear about that after a night of drinking. So, Alex,
you do hear them beating the hell out of a bag of Cheetos.
Yeah, well, I was just gonna say, I didn't want to bring it up, but since you opened up the door, diabetes is a bad problem. Like you said, you're when you're drinking, you're putting sugar in your system, and diabetes obviously is a killer here in the United States. That's the only negative thing about weed. Is that you get the munchies, so you may be opening the door for diabetes anyway if you don't curb your appetite. So everything you got to do in moderation. So, but anyway, thanks for your blast. It was great as usual, and we'll look forward to next week, my man.
All right, thanks a lot, Billy C. Take care.
All right, that's Alex Papali. You can catch him doing the blast and then some every week right here on the Billy C. Show. Hey, listen, I want to wrap it up here. I want to thank all of the people that were part of the show today. My man Sal, of course, Larry and Alex, everyone that was communicating with us in the chat room. Don't forget, if you take the time to drop us an email, we'll take the time to read it on air. Send all your emails to billy@talkinboxing. That's TALKINBOXING.com. Don't forget to watch us on your handheld on Fight TV. Download the app today. It's very easy. Just visit our website, www.billycboxing.com, and click on the Fight TV banner, which you'll see on the right-hand side of the screen as you scroll down. Download it and then watch us on Fight TV. We will be back tomorrow morning, so I want to just leave you with this. Make sure you tune in tomorrow morning, same bat time, same bat channel. Until then, ciao, baby.